Thank you very much, Chair. It's been kind of really interesting seeing the various areas of spending within this audit. One thing that I had asked other officials about, and I wonder if you have some context on this. There are multiple entries of American universities that are funded through this. I tried to get some clarity and couldn't around why we are funding foreign institutions. I wonder if you have a comment on that, and then just in general, how grants and contributions are supposed to be, or whether they're required to be or not, spent on things that are actually in Canada, or whether we see a lot of different areas of spending items that are not obviously related to Canada.
So with respect to the first question, I believe the documentation will be provided to the committee in the coming days. It's just in the approval process right now. In terms of funding institutions outside of Canada, it depends on the terms and conditions of the program that these funds are coming from. We do have some international obligations with international climate financing, and we also do have some obligations with respect to contribution funding to organizations such as the World Meteorological Organization. So there are some terms and conditions and programs that you can fund outside of Canada.
Okay. Is there an expectation that other states would fund those activities if they're happening outside of Canada, or is it sort of is that considered normal? I guess I was surprised to see these funding for these other institutions, and of course we're affected by things that happen elsewhere, but other countries are affected by things that happen here, and generally you'd expect this kind of research monitoring to happen with a focus on your own country, surely.
Yeah, as I mentioned, it would be part of the terms and conditions of the program, whether or not where the funding is going.
Okay, I guess it's more of a policy question.
Yeah,
at the end of the
exactly.
day, right? So you're giving me the auditor answer, which is your depends on whether it's supposed to or not. Fair enough. So we have and we will continue to ask these policy questions. I wonder if you can compare your analysis of the things happening at the Environment Department to other departments as well. And we had an audit here recently of just some very concerning things that have happened at Global Affairs. And by the way, we tried to get the minister to come in on that, and Minister Jolie has not made herself available to this committee on various matters we've asked her to come for. But there's been issues at Global Affairs, there's been issues at Environment. How would you compare what you're finding in this department to some of those other audits and what exists at other departments?
So when we undertook this audit, we the first step that a team would normally do is to look what other type of grants and contributions audits have been done across the government. And we did notice that there was a few in certain departments such as Global Affairs. So what we learned from those, we learned where the risks were there so that we can strengthen our internal audit programs and strengthen the work that we're going to do in our department. But I would not be able to comment on the actual findings of audits of other departments. But what I can say is we do take that information into account when we're doing our work.
Are you making comparisons between things that are happening at certain departments? Like, this department, we're doing better than that, or we're doing worse than that?
We have a network of chief audit executives where we get together on a regular basis with the Office of the Comptroller General, where we share practices, where we share findings. But as I say, we are learning from the work that others are doing, and we're making sure that we include those type of risks into our assessments when we develop our audit programs.
Are there departments that aren't doing audits like this at all? Are all departments doing this kind of work, or are there places where it's just not being looked at?
Well, I believe each department has their chief audit executive, and they would be doing their individual risk-based audit plans. So it would be up to the risks that they identify in their departments and what they would look at. All
right, thank you. Can I ask as well just about some of these internal processes around this? Okay. So I'll just jump to this then. Of contributions that are paid out, how many are repayable, and how are we doing at actually getting back contributions that are supposed to be repayable?
I don't have an answer for that. We did not include that in the scope of our internal audit work. What we looked at was the governance, risk, and controls that supported program delivery, but we didn't get to that level of detail in this report.
Okay, did you not get to it because you didn't have the resources, because you didn't think it was important? What was the reason why you wouldn't have included that in your work?
It was just not a step that was in our process. We had enough resources to do the work. we took enough time to do this work properly, but that's not an issue that came up in the internal audit.
Okay, maybe it's something to think about for the future.
Yeah, thank you.
Is that time, Cherry?
That's your time.